Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney here at the R&R Law Group in the always beautiful and sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. And today we're talking about Ottawa. Again, it is heating up there. Police, of course, have been seizing fuel for the last couple days. We learned that they were making some arrests, things like, 6, 7 arrests over the last, 9, 10, 11 days. But now things are kind of heating up a little bit. We've got several different clips we're going to go through today of Ottawa police conducting 2 separate arrests. One of a young couple for allegedly not doing much other than just driving around with a flag in the back of their truck. And number 2 of another individual, an elderly man, somebody who looks like he's, sub 5 foot. And an officer who's like 6'4", Jack Reacher, is manhandling this elderly gentleman, basically throwing him to the ground for failure to provide ID. And so we're going to see what is actually happening on the streets of Ottawa. And then we're going to go through in great detail, painstaking detail, Justin Trudeau's response, because he came out in front of the Canadian government and was delivering a message saying that there were flags with swastikas flying all over the place and that the Freedom Truckers were jeering and harassing the masked and the vaxxed and blah, blah, blah. And so a lot of it was quite offensive. And we're going to do this little compare and contrast game where we take a short snippet of Trudeau's clip and we just, take a look at reality and we see if there is any connection between the two. And so we're going to spend a lot of time on that because Justin Trudeau is somebody who has been a very big supporter of BLM, Black Lives Matter, but doesn't support a protest like this, which arguably is, 100x more peaceful. So we're going to really break this down because he's saying things like there are swastika flags flying all over the place. And as we check in with a number of different live streamers, people like Viva Fry, we've got ZOT YouTube, he is also a live streamer. And then, of course, Ottawa Walks are all part of YouTube live stream coalition. They're down there on the streets of Ottawa filming what's actually happening. And so we can go take a look at this. We're going to hear from somebody who used to be a tour guide at Parliament Hill. She's also a former teacher. We're going to check in with somebody who says that there were other nefarious actors that were not a part of the convoy that were trying to come in with masks and sort of take things over and cause a bunch of ruckus. And we're going to listen to a former police officer who resigned as a result of what happened in Ottawa. Saw exactly what his own fellow law enforcement brethren were doing out there. Said, I can't take it anymore. He has a 2-minute clip that he posted on YouTube. His name is Joseph A. Camp, former Calgary Police Officer. Saw what was happening and said, I think we've become the bad guys and I'm not interested in that anymore. And so he resigned. We're going to go through that video because the response from law enforcement is there's several people are sort of getting disgusted with what they're being asked to do. And we're going to look at that. Viva Fry had a very interesting interview with a couple truckers who were there, and they're planning to be there for the long haul. We're going to poke around on that interview. And then we're going to check back in with the RCMP, the former bodyguard for Justin Trudeau. We listened to this guy a couple days ago when he was delivering the response to Police Chief Slawley's 3-part plan to go after the truckers. We're going to listen to him, and then we're going to see whether these efforts are having any effect in Canada. And it is. I believe that it is. We have Premier Scott Moe, he's from Saskatchewan, who is now going to be announcing the end of all mandates for vaxes and masks and many other things at the end of this month, February 28th. I mean, honk on that, right? We also have Candice Bergen, somebody who is in the opposition party to Trudeau, and she is in their parliament, just sort of letting him have it. And so, my goodness, you heard the list there. There is just a lot to get to. And we've got to get started because we're going to be here all night if we don't. And if you want to be a part of the show, the place to do that is over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. That's our home base, and they are chatting away. Let's see, we got Bespec over there, resident Bedoin. We've got Jeremy Matridas in the house. We've got Wild Child just joined in. We have, let's see who else here. 3 girlies is here. Cool. All right. Cool. So they're all chatting away over there. And we also have a YouTube chat, of course, chatting away. Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to Twitch. Shout out to Rumble. I think I made the connection today. I appreciate the love and support everywhere. On YouTube, if you are a member, if you click that join button, we got special gifts in action today. Of course, the big one that, I think is sort of in vogue right now, given the topic that we're talking about, is the truck down here. And we have special edition gift for members, which is the Canadian flag. And as we get more members, we get more ability to add gifts, and so I appreciate your support. You also get a badge next to your name, and so this tiers up the longer you've been a supporter. And we've got some YouTube shout outs that we always like to give out for new shout out member levels: Mr. J-Bug, Blue Bunny, Ricky Bishop, Henry Dixon. And I want to share something with you at the end of the show about the ultra tier, the spotlight level, which we'll say for the end of the show. So if you want to join, there it is. The join button is right next to the subscribe button, and I really do appreciate it. I really have a lot of fun with these gifts, and every time we get to level up, makes me happy. All right, and so let's get into it. We've been talking about what's happening on Ottawa, and the city council convened an emergency meeting and then held another meeting afterwards where they were going to be detailing their three-part plan on how they were going to be putting an end to this Freedom Trucker Convoy. They're disgusted by this. It's been like 8-9 days. They're losing their stinking minds. We saw City Councilor Meehan literally having multiple meltdowns day after day, begging police for help. And so a lot of this has really sort of escalated because they're melting down. Similarly, Chief Slally came out and said, we've got this three-part plan. And he's sort of envisioning himself as, I think, a 5-star general in Fallujah. And he's thinking that they're sort of, commandeering parts of the city, saying we're going to take over this land and we're going to go and, reclaim parts of our city. That all started a couple days ago. And if you missed it, this is what it looked like. So back on February 6th, we have this being posted by Benny Johnson. Now, it originally came over from this guy, Canadian Cryptonaire. He's on Getter all over the place. Make sure you're following these people because they are boots on the ground, right? And he says, here's what's happening. Without a warrant or cause, the Canadian Gestapo, the police, are seizing all fuel, private property, from trucker convoy in the dark of night and the dead of winter, literally. They want their countrymen to die, he says. Trudeau is a fascist dictator. And so we're going to just get up to speed, right? This happened a couple days ago. We're going to check what happened, and we're going to see what happened yesterday on the 7th, and we're going to see what's happening today, all right? So this is what it looked like a couple days ago. And so, these heroic police officers are just taking fuel away, protecting and serving the truckers. All right, so we saw this, right? They bring their wheelbarrows.
So, in fact, yes, they are taking fuel right away from people as they attempt to fuel their vehicles. And people are surrounding the police, even though the police are actually being extremely calm and cool about kind of everything, except for they're taking fuel, I guess. But other than that, they're being pretty respectful to everyone, considering they just got surrounded in like 2 seconds.
All right, so that's a tense situation, right? Coming for fuel now. Everybody stay calm. This is a couple days ago, and so things are staying calm. Things are okay. Things are kind of escalating a little bit. We have another clip. This is around yesterday. So that was on the 6th. This is on the 7th now. Ottawa police seize fuel stocks from peaceful truckers. And so this, I don't think I clipped that one, but it's the same thing, right? They're taking more fuel. So I don't think I threw that clip in there, but it's the same thing. He's stealing more fuel, but people are getting a little bit more agitated now. Right? Hey, knock it off. Now, this is another arrest that is sort of spreading around the internet like wildfire. And here's what we see. We're going to check in. The person who's behind the camera is going to be sort of communicating to this gentleman. The gentleman here is reaching for his wallet. We can see he's going to be sort of finagling for his ID or something like that. And you're going to hear that the person behind the camera says, stop harassing that old guy. Leave him alone. Let him get back on his way. He's a legitimate protester. And he says to this old man, he says, hey, you don't have to show him anything. You don't have to show him anything, right? Don't show him that. And then what happens is the law enforcement official is going to say, oh, well, that's failure to show ID, right? You didn't present your identification to me. And I'm not a practicing lawyer in Canada, but in Arizona, if you fail to show your ID to a law enforcement official, they're going to cite you for that. It's a misdemeanor. It's a crime. And so that is presumably something similar that they've got on the books there in Canada. And so the point of this is, okay, yeah, maybe this police officer is justified in conducting an arrest, but is it necessary? Is this like what they're authorized to do now? You'll see what I mean. Let's watch this.
I don't care. Give me your driver's license, insurance, registration. You have to tuck up the trail for maybe you're on this type, but I mean, focus. Because I should have wanted that guy because he's got flags.
That's
You
right.
told me all
He's
that.
a supporter for Canadian freedom.
You couldn't even oppose
Who cares?
You shouldn't
They
oppose
shouldn't
him.
live in the capital of Canada then. They better leave. Because until the mandates are ended, this is not going to stop. Stop harassing old men. You don't have to show them anything.
So watch, he
Against the
doesn't.
law. You just.
Fuck you, I'm not
So
gonna-
what? Boom, there it is.
Hey, what are you doing?
Failing to ID.
Hey, hey! That's assault. I've got it all on video.
Failed to ID.
Failed
he
to
failed
ID.
Get back.
Hey!
Get back. Get back.
We're back. We're filming. We're doing our part.
Get back.
It's all on video. No, don't say anything. Don't say anything.
You attack me? You attack me? You're a fucking goof!
Hey,
All
Rick,
right, so sorry
Rick,
about the
stand
content.
down. Stand down. Stand down. Rick, no, it's peaceful.
What am
No,
I
let
doing?
them
Fucking
do.
attack me, you fucking goof! Fucking
All right, so you can see, right?
not doing shit. Touch me, punk ass.
This is going right to the media. YouTube. What's your name and badge number? What's your name and badge number? What's your name and badge number? What's your name and badge number?
Yeah, you're assaulting.
Look, they're hurting an old man, a Canadian citizen. It's communism. This is communism. He's scared.
Your fucking guns.
All right, so you can hear somebody else is off on the background, very angry about that, screaming some profanities, and I forgot to give a content warning. There may be a couple of those that slip by in here. I tried to keep most of them out, but I didn't hear that one when I was listening because he's in the background. So there may be some of those, so just be forewarned about this, right? These are situations that are getting a little bit more intense, and we saw what happened there, right? 2 law enforcement officials protecting and serving. Just outstanding work there. Fine job, gentlemen. So they make sure, oh, there it is. He didn't show us his ID. Boom. We should probably shoot him. Now, if that was, in the United States, right, maybe he would have been shot. I don't know, right? Maybe they would have just, he's resisting and you just shoot him. Or maybe this could have been something, maybe this would have been like an analogous to like a George Floyd incident or something, right? Had this gone bad. And remember, the reason why the city council of Ottawa has been so hyperventilation mode over this for the last few days has become because a lot of the what ifs. Remember, they said, well, those people put that burning brick outside the apartment building and something bad could have happened, right? Really bad could have happened. And something bad could have happened here that is being instigated, caused by law enforcement, by the police. They started the whole thing. That guy's like 100 years old and like 4'9". And you've got Gigantor over there who's twisting his arm and shoving him on the ground. It takes 2 cops to do that. So, we heard some of these numbers come out from Ottawa City Council and their ridiculous police department yesterday saying that there were a total of 7 arrests that took place. Wow, shocking. Was that one of them? Was this one of these maniacs out there that is wrecking the city of Ottawa? Somebody 4'9" and 90 years old? Not to be pejorative to that guy, but it is true, right? It's not even remotely in the same category. And that officer should be ashamed of himself. That, hopefully that guy's all right. But that is evidently going to be continuing because they've been sort of given the order, right? Saying Mayor Watson yesterday said, we're under psychological warfare. We're under attack. We're under siege. Our nation is at stake. Our democracy is at risk. And so get out there. We heard from Carol Ann Meehan crying, begging the police, do something. Stop playing nice. And so maybe that's what this means. Maybe that's what this is. We talked about that yesterday. If you missed that show, please go listen to Meehan because she's a lunatic. All right. And so she was asking the police to take the gloves off, essentially, and they're doing it. They're going after old men. They're going after this guy in his car. Ezra Levant says, the police misconduct, this isn't the worst I've seen. But the nonchalance is telling. These cops knew they were being recorded. They didn't care. They know this kind of abuse isn't punished in Canada. In fact, it's exactly what Trudeau demands. Trudeau is coming out along with the rest of the city council saying that exactly. Saying specifically, stop playing nice. Take the gloves off. And this is what it looks like. This was on February 7th. 5:28 is when they posted this. And here's what the scene looks like.
So what's going on anyway?
Oh,
They stop you? Like you've been here for 20 minutes?
yeah.
Have they said anything to you or anything?
Talking about my flags and saying that I turned around over there. I said, but there's a gate. That's why I turned around.
So something about the flags. Why'd they stop you? I think they saw my flag. Something about I made a turn, and so they told me to turn around. So I turned around, and now I'm sitting here.
I said, he said, did you have your phone in your hands? I said, no. said I was just like doing like that to everyone who was giving me fucking fingers.
Did you have your phone in your hand? Okay, so now they're making up reasons. Were you touching your phone? No, not touching your phone. It's a pretextual stop is sort of where he's going with this. Let's see how this ends up.
Oh, look, there's another cop car stopping.
Okay, so there's one behind him.
Oh, they gotta give him assistance because there's only one person in the truck, you know? Like, he's dangerous.
So one behind.
Yeah, here
one
we go.
coming up
We got
in
him
front.
surrounded.
Now something interesting happens here with this truck as he gets surrounded.
What's gonna happen now?
I don't know if
Oh,
he.
look, they're backing right up to
I don't know if
his
he freaks
truck.
out because he moves. And then this cop comes out.
Wow.
What are you doing?
You're backing right into his car.
What are you doing?
No, you ran into his truck. He's not doing anything wrong. You gotta be joking. Hey!
So
What do
he's
you
being
think
pulled
you're
out
doing?
now, and he's being, thrown on the ground.
Holy freak, guys! There's no need of that violence! You guys are violent! You guys are the ones who are violent, not us!
The totalitarian government does not exist.
Why is the Trump on the tangle? I thought you were running. No, you didn't.
Yes, you did. What's your name? What are you arresting him for?
What's your name?
None of your business.
Really?
Oh, really?
Because this is not your business.
It is our business.
Stop this expectation of privacy.
Oh!
Did you hear that? Did you hear that from that cop? He says, ma'am, this is not your business. He has a reasonable expectation of privacy. And that's exactly, she was in the car with him, for crying out loud. It's probably his, her significant other or something like that. So that's very nice. He cares about his rights suddenly. Oh, he's got privacy rights, lady. So we can't talk to you. That's very nice. Suddenly he cares about his rights. Okay, and so while all this is happening to these very peaceful protesters, things are going to get out of hand now. Now, pay attention now. Things are going to escalate. It's now 9:43 p.m. on February 7th, and it's about to get wild. I mean, look, the truckers can only take so much of that abuse, all right? Now, this is what is going to... Now, content warning, because as you can see here, we've got some masked up lunatic law enforcement. Look, and Meehan said this, by the way. Meehan said that she wanted to see this, and now she's seeing it, right? Basically, like this happened is right after she was demanding this. Put them in gear. Arm them up. Give them bulletproof vests. Go take actions. I want blood, is what she was saying, without saying it. And so as you can see here, this is what's happening. They are actually taking the fuel away from the truckers. And this is gonna look like a scene from Braveheart. So just brace yourself for the violence. Let's listen in. Oh my goodness! Wait for it. Wow.
Yeah, let's sing. Everybody sing.
Arrest them. Look at those people. Right, so as you can see, absolutely horrendous to watch, total violence, out of control maniacs, and it is basically a war zone, as Slawley and Watson and Diane Deans and Carol Ann Meehan were all screaming about yesterday. Pretty violent. Now, if you think that those, police officers should be ashamed of themselves, I'm in agreement with you. So are their fellow colleagues, at least one of them. This guy is named Joseph A. Camp. He is on YouTube now, and I would support him if you're interested in this. His account is at Joseph A. Camp. He's got 660 subscribers, probably looking for a little bit more. And so it is titled, it says, Calgary Police Officer Resigns After Witnessing Ottawa Police Abuses. Posted this on February 8th, 2022. It says a 16-year law enforcement vet currently with Calgary Police speaks after witnessing what the Ottawa Police have done. And so as you can see, he wrote this down on his notepad quite well, and he's going to read this through for us. His account is up here, Joseph, it's Camp Joseph A, so his name backwards. Give him a follow. Here's what he has to say for us. It's about 2 minutes. Let's listen in.
Hello.
It's powerful.
My name is Nick Motichka. I'm a police officer currently with the Calgary Police Service. I've been with Calgary for just a little over 10 years, and prior to that I was with the RCMP for approximately 6 years. I just wanted to read something that I wrote this evening. Today was a hard day for me. Something was taken away from me that I can never get back. Watching members of the Ottawa Police Service seize fuel from peaceful protesters took away a long-held belief that I thought to be a lasting truth. And that is that the police are here when push really comes to shove to protect and help people. I will never see my profession in the same light than I did before today. What I saw was the police doing politicians' dirty work like hired goons.
Yeah, I know the volume's low, but he's just a low speaker.
I chose this mostly thankless, difficult, traumatizing career with terrible hours. The reason I got into law enforcement was to help people. However naive that was, it is my honest truth. As the years wore on, I'll be the first to admit that I got jaded, but I never let anything compromise my integrity. I always applied the front page of the newspaper test, and that is, would I be okay with whatever I was about to do being on the front page of the paper? Or a news story in your feed for...
All right, so it sounds like nobody can actually hear him, so I apologize for that. I can hear him. It's quiet. Now, a couple things that I think I got the YouTube channel wrong, so that YouTube channel has been suspended. And so the point is, okay, here, he's resigning, right? He saw what he saw, and he's resigning. And so if you want to go listen to the guy's name, I think I got his name wrong. So it's not actually Joseph Camp, so make a correction on that. Chat is correcting me. And all right, let me put it back on because they say they can hear him, and we'll just listen back in. So 1 second on this.
Hello. It is my honest truth.
Yeah, volume's as high as I can get it.
I'll be the first to admit that I got jaded, but I never let anything compromise my integrity. I always applied the front page of the newspaper test, and that is, would I be okay with whatever I was about to do being on the front page of the paper, or a news story in your feed for younger viewers? Doing what was right, even when no one was looking, even if it was difficult, was always the right decision. What is happening in Ottawa with the clear political influence on the police to physically exert political will on peaceful protesters for nothing more than possible political gain is so very wrong on so many levels. I was just following orders is no longer an excuse. It is time to stand up and speak out by refusing to breach your fellow citizens' fundamental charter rights. You signed up to help people. Stand with your fellow Canadians and say enough is enough.
All right, so I got the name wrong. Let's listen to his name again.
Hello, my name is Nick Motichka.
Nick Modichia is his name. Nick Modichia is his name. And so the YouTube channel that I got that from was Campbell A. Joseph or something like that. That was where the article sent me to. I thought that he posted it on YouTube. He didn't. So his name is not the same as the YouTube that I referenced earlier. So correction on that. Nick Modichia sounds like is what his name is. And so you can find that video wherever you can find it, but it's not going to be on that other channel. All right. And so you can see law enforcement, right, seeing what their fellow officers are doing, having a reaction to it. Nick obviously doesn't want to be a part of it, made a decision to leave. And we'll see if other officers follow suit. Now, while all this is happening, Justin Trudeau came out and gave a little update because he's been in hiding, running away from his own government, essentially his own city, to go hide away because he was scared with COVID and all of that stuff. But now he's finally emerged, and he's going to be responding to this because, as we heard from a lot of the city councilors yesterday, many of them are just melting down. It's hyperventilation mode through and through. And so Justin Trudeau is going to come out and carry forward that narrative that we started picking up yesterday. The narrative yesterday was all about this was an insurrection that was undoing a democratic government, right? The government was already elected and vaccines were well tolerated, and now they're trying to undo that. Let's listen to Justin Trudeau as he guides us through this new narrative.
Just a short time ago, we had an election in this country where we asked Canadians how they wanted to keep fighting this pandemic. And their answer was clear.
Was it?
Canadians chose vaccines.
Did they? Okay, so let's break that down for a quick second. They chose vaccines because I checked on Wikipedia. That wasn't on the ballot. There were a couple people on the ballot. We've got Justin Trudeau, Aaron O'Toole, we've got Francis Blanchet, and I'm not a Canadian politician, but here you can see here, it says that Trudeau won, not a majority, but he formed his government because he was able to basically form a coalition government. It says that the Liberals won, Trudeau won his third term as Prime Minister, but his second minority government. The Liberals, they were hoping to win a majority government to govern alone, but they didn't. They fell short and they formed a minority government with support for other parties. And so I don't know, I didn't see vaccine on that election that they voted to nominate that, or that everybody supports it in the same manner. But here is what he says, and it's very condescending, that this is what good Canadians do. And if you don't do this, then you're not a good Canadian. You're a bad Canadian. Here's how he approaches that.
They chose science. They chose to protect one another. Because Canadians know that's how we get back to the things we love.
Okay, so we can see now he's saying very, very condescending. Do what I say, we can get back to the things that we love. And so now I want to take a look and talk about this, because there's one person who seems to be like a very nice Canadian, and she's not doing what Justin Trudeau wants. This woman is not in compliance. And let's listen how that sounds. Okay, and so a couple themes we'll see. They say there are a lot of racist
you have anything
flags
to say?
all over.
Boom.
I hope the world keeps watching, and so that they can feel all the love that's here in Ottawa. We're standing up for our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which our government seems to have forgotten exists. So thanks for getting the word out. There's lots of love here. Don't believe the mainstream media about the violence and the ugliness. It's just a smear campaign. We're all about love. So sending love out to the world, standing up.
Where are you from?
All right. And so great question, right? We're going to learn a little bit more about this woman. But first thing she says, lots of love out here. Everybody is just having a great time. And she kind of looks like a, I don't know, Al-Qaeda maybe or something. Taliban, I'm not sure. But we're going to learn a little bit more about her because Justin Trudeau said that the good Canadians do things the right way. You know, we care about each other. We get the jab. We get shot up, whatever it is. And the people who don't are not good Canadians. And so if this woman's here at these protests, then obviously she's not a good Canadian, right? Clearly. And so, well, let's see what her background is. She must be like a bum or like a criminal or somebody who's like a dreg of society. I don't know. Let's listen.
You seen anything like this in your life? This much love?
Listen, I'm a teacher or a former teacher because I won't teach in the schools that participate in this tyranny. I've seen a lot of love in my life. I used to work up on the hill. I used to be a tour guide. But in the past few years, we've been so broken, and now we're coming together. I have never experienced anything like this in my life, and I'm grateful to everyone standing up And I pray that people who can't see how much they're being lied to and manipulated, I can only pray I pray that they are well, and I hope that someday they'll understand why we're doing this. But we are doing this peacefully, respectfully, the Canadian way.
Canadian way, former teacher, also somebody who actually used to give tours up there on Parliament Hill, right around the corner. So she was like secure enough to like walk people through the Parliament building. Oh yeah, like let me show you this closet. Let me show you what's over here. And let me guide you over this way and the other. Bad Canadian. Probably ISIS or at least Taliban or I don't know, maybe Putin. Is she a Putin puppet? I'm not sure. And so you can see that Trudeau is, I think, disconnected from reality, maybe a little bit. But he is going to tell us that he cares a lot about people's right to protest. He's a democratic guy. He likes liberty, doesn't he? So he says he's going to tell us that he cherishes that, and we're going to break that down. Here is Trudeau again.
Over the last few weeks, there have been demonstrations across the country, and particularly here in Ottawa. Obviously, people have the right to demonstrate. They have the right to disagree with the government and to be heard. This is a fundamental right that we will always protect and uphold as a democracy. But, yeah, we'll get there. But he says, I will always value democracy and protect and uphold it and those liberties. And he does value protest. I mean, he participated in one. In fact, just about 2 years ago, he was there, right there where the truckers are in the summer. This was June 2020. And he said back then he actually took a knee right there, right at the Black Lives Matter demonstration on Parliament Hill. And so he does like to protest. There's no question about that. And he didn't speak too much about this incident when this happened in a very similar protest at the John A. Macdonald Memorial. Black Lives Matter was there. Yeah. And so not too much came out of their mouths about that. And the guy humps his head. So that's just great. So that's Justin Trudeau's Canada that he prefers versus what is happening now with this peaceful protest. So you can see where that goes. Now, here we're going to stick with the French. He's still talking in French, and it's questionable. Well, here he's got a list for us about what these truckers are doing to harm people. All right. He's going to give us the laundry list. What are their problems with the truckers, the Freedom Convoy? Why is it so difficult for Ottawa to deal with it? Let's listen. People do not have the right to block streets illegally, to harass their fellow citizens, people who want to go to work, who want to go to school. They don't have the right to insult those who choose to wear a mask, to get vaccinated, to be there for their fellow citizens.
All right. And so that's the laundry list. Let's go through it. I made a chart. Here's a chart. He said that the claims coming out of Trudeau's mouth are that their truckers are causing a lot of problems, okay? The problems that the truckers are causing is they're making it difficult to travel, okay? Travel limitations. You can't get around the city. Well, guess what? Justin Trudeau's government made it difficult to get around the country, right? The truckers arguably can't get into the country if they've got mandates. People got to wait for 14 days to get in and out of there, or they did at one point. So, okay, so Trudeau says the truckers are causing travel limitations, but his government also created travel problems. Let's see here. He also says that the truckers are harassing citizens, which basically every single word out of Justin Trudeau's mouth was harassing citizens. Didn't see anything about he's making broad stroke claims about Nazi flags and things like that, as we're going to see. It's basically harassment. I don't know what else to call it. He's very mad that the truckers are stopping work, making it so that people can't go to work. And so Trudeau's government, when they locked everybody down and they're making people no longer employable, that is also stopping work. Huh. Yeah, very curious there. Also talks about mask harassment, all right? So saying that people on the streets are out there getting abused by the truckers for, not for wearing masks or something like that, which, hello, if you've been alive in the last 2 years, you know that if you go some places with mask mandates and you don't wear a mask, you get harassed, right? There's signs all over the place. And if you don't wear one, you get scoffed at and you just look at them like they're morons and just keep doing, your business, because that's just how Adults operate their lives. But it doesn't mean that you're not getting harassed out there. And same story goes on here. Vaccine harassment, right? Are the truckers, is this even a legitimate claim? Like, are the truckers asking people for their ID cards? What is he talking about? Are they saying, sir, before you cross the street, can I make sure you're vaccinated? So how could they possibly harass somebody about a status that they know nothing about? The people who are really doing the harassment are the government officials who are demanding and mandating all of this crap. So Trudeau's claims are really non-existent, right? None of these claims actually exist. He's making them up. They're all fake. The government, though, single-handedly has been the biggest harasser of its citizens, of the world, of anybody, not the truckers. And so pretty obvious there, but Trudeau, just likes to talk in big, gigantic, broad platitudes. And he's now going to transition into a theme about swastikas. And we've already seen this come up previously. We debunked this several shows ago when we showed it was one guy with a flag who was probably being photographed by Trudeau's photographer. And that was it. The other guy had a Confederate flag and was wearing a mask. Clearly somebody who didn't want to be identified was out there to cause a ruckus, probably a Fed. And so now we can see we've got two clips from the theme here, or from Trudeau's new theme about swastikas. Let's listen.
It has to stop. The people of Ottawa don't deserve to be harassed in their own neighborhoods. They don't deserve to be confronted with the inherent violence of a swastika flying on a street corner, or a Confederate flag, or the insults and jeers just because they're wearing a mask.
Yeah, so the swastika flag, the jeers, the theme is now picking up steam, and Justin Trudeau carries on. This is now the other part. This is how he kind of closes the speech out, which I think we're going to listen to again. But this is where he's saying they're waving them around. A couple people waving the flags around. I have not seen that. I saw one image of it. Here it is.
And a few people shouting and waving swastikas does not define who Canadians are.
Nobody. Okay, so it's I don't even know what he's talking about, but all right. So when I went over to Google today, right, I'm not trying to sort of bury my head in the sand like an ostrich. I actually went over to Google News. I typed in Swastika Freedom Convoy. Is there anything new? And here's what we see, right? Not too much. Trudeau accused of fueling anger after saying protesters are waving swastikas. Obviously not true. Washington Post says, here's what you need to know about it. Nothing there. Daily Mail says Canada pushes back against GOP. And then we have 1 week ago, the article from the Jewish Telegraphic Agency says that swastikas displayed at the Canadian Freedom Convoy. Okay, nothing recent at all about swastika freedom. So I think Justin Trudeau is still talking about the one from last week. It's not even in the news. It's like not even in the mainstream media. It's like not even on CBC crap. Like even they are over that talking point. And even at that Jewish article, the Jewish Telegraphic article, it says the swastikas displayed at the Canadian Freedom Convoy protests. And then it gives us a picture of a Confederate flag with a truck on it. Even that flag is not a swastika. So you're like, what are you talking about, Justin? Where are all the flags of swastikas being waved all over the place? Where are the Confederate flags? This is a scene from another live streamer on YouTube. His name is Ottawa Walks. You can see it's up here. OTTA Walks. Take a look at all the Nazi memorabilia and flags all over the place.
So if you're just tuning in now, this is Ottawa Walks, and we're here in downtown Ottawa live. Day 12 of protests. And we are under a state of emergency here in the nation's capital. This is what it looks like.
So this is from Ottawa Walks. I don't see any Nazi flags. Let's see if we can make out what's on some of these signs. Does it say, Nazis language? I don't know. Oh, it says end the mandates. It says no more mandates. Mandate freedom. Standing for the rights and freedoms of all Canadians. The world is watching. Thank you, truckers, for fighting for our freedom. Fight for freedom. Farmers for freedom. Let me be me. Let me be free. It says freedom. Hold the line. Freedom is essential. Freedom fighter. I'm a teacher. I support freedom. Mandate freedom. Thank you, truckers. Victory over fear. God bless truckers. We love you. Wow. You know, I don't know.
Yes, sir. Thanks, man.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, did you see anybody named Adolf walking around down there? I didn't see anything that resembled that at all. No. And so you can see here somebody actually asks them a very good question or makes a very good comment.
I'm just a.
Did you hear that? It says Ottawa. Let's listen. He says, "You're a real journalist."
I'm just a guy with a camera. That's all I am.
How much you got? Like 50K views or something?
Right now, I got 13K watching right now.
13,000 people watching.
You want to say hi to anyone?
How's it going, guys? We're here. We're going to stay here until the mandates are gone.
Right on.
Thank
All right.
you.
So that was the scene, right? And look around. Look at all the signs. Look at all the flags. Do you see any Nazi flags? I don't see any Nazi flags. In fact, I take a look here. I see a bunch of Canadian flags. And this is another live streamer. His name is ZOT YouTube, so follow him as well. And he's also walking down the streets. And he sees an interesting guy, and he goes and talks to him.
Guys, if I see a masked person, I'll try to interview. But in general, they don't really want to talk. I've only gotten one to talk.
He's saying, so
see if we can get an interview with this guy.
Okay, so this guy's over with the truckers.
Second, guys.
And he's like stretching out.
Hey, man, are you able to say anything? Everyone wants me to talk to you. They've been saying all day, man. So what's up with the peace sign? What's up with that, man?
Well, I was born in Ottawa. I live in the bush up in northern Ontario. Small cabin heated by wood, you know. And I can't stand on what's going on in the cities. It's lunacy when I come in to get supplies. I started off standing with my peace sign because we're here in peace on Parliament Hill. But the very first day, on the Friday, the 28th, I seen a lot of jokers in front of these trucks here with masks and just really bad. That was the day that those other people came and gave us bad press. So I moved my position from Parliament Hill to in front of the trucks to hold the line and protect from the bad press in front of those trucks.
Yeah, so somebody fires up the truck, and so we don't get to hear too much of what he says because he sort of gets drowned out. But did you hear him say, right, there were a lot of people, some other people who were trying to give us bad press and try to take over kind of the protests. They came up and they moved around and they pushed them back and they kind of held the line, right? And so, you know, he's there. He's in peace, man. I'm just in peace. He's got the GoPro up there. He looks just like, you know, like a wilderness man. He just looks like amazing, and he's out there fighting for freedom, and I love to see it. Now, our other very good friend, of course, the one and only Viva Fry, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber. He's right next door on YouTube at Viva Fry. He's also at watching, no, that's our channel. He's next door to our locals at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. And so give him a check. But he's been doing man on the streets along with these other guys. And man, it is cold out there. And they are walking around, their nose, you know, is just red as can be. It's freezing. You can see their breath. It's a lot of work. Viva meets up with these two gentlemen. Now, he is in the cab of their truck or some sort of, you know, vehicle, I think. And he's got some very good questions for them. And so I want to break this down a little bit. So let me catch you up to speed on what we were talking about yesterday. Yesterday, part of Police Chief Slally's plan was to really use intelligence, right? 3-part plan. Number 1, a surge of officers. Number 2, blockades. Number 3, intelligence. And then sort of go after licenses and insurance companies and try to make it so that these people are no longer employable. We were talking to Mayor Watson. He wanted to 10x certain fines from $100 to $1,000, $350 up to, you know, $1,250 or whatever it was. And so there were a lot of sort of escalation tactics that were coming out. And so Viva is going to ask him about that. Hey, you know, look, yesterday there was a city council meeting and they are plotting to take you guys out and to actually, you know, make your lives very, very difficult by removing your licenses. Can you tell us about that? And this is a great question. It's like one of the first questions I would ask. What do you think about all this? Because your license, your CDL license, right? It's incredibly important. It's like my bar license, my law license, or like, a doctor's license, right? It's very, very important. And so, when I think about that, that's my first concern is after this is over, I want to make sure that these guys aren't ruined as a result of this stinking government. And it sounds like they're trying to do that. And so anyways, enough from me. Here is the one and only Viva. Let's listen in on this interview. Great question. Good answer.
It's a funny thing. I heard someone talking this morning as I'm walking the street and they're talking to someone on the phone. It says, just suspend all their licenses. In response to this. And I was like,
City Council.
That's effectively what they did by requiring them to do something that they're not going to do, or penalizing them if they didn't do it. You've already done that, so that's not a threat anymore. Now they're talking about other punitive means.
Yeah, so we actually have just been dealing with what you're just talking about now all morning. So suspending the licenses. One, I'm not sure anyone cares really anymore at this point. We're committed. Two, that still leaves Parliament with a whole bunch of trucks that now have no drivers and no keys.
Strategy with no logistics is what that is.
And don't forget, they're all going to be out of fuel soon.
But yeah, they will be out of fuel, so you will have a bunch of trucks that cannot be driven out of here because there's no drivers. It's not like anyone can hop in a rig and drive it. Every towing company around, like in
even
a
down
5-hour vicinity, has declined to already tow us.
Apparently they all have COVID.
They all have COVID. I mean, we're seeing that countrywide is now a pandemic of tow drivers.
Oh, it's the worst.
Only. So, I guess, and our PM.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, our fearless leader just run. So, yeah, no matter what they do, I mean, there's rumors of, complete blackout here, and we're all going to be arrested. That still leaves all the trucks on Parliament. So
that they still have to tow.
Tow, and nobody here to tow them. So that really doesn't change much. There's already an injunction, so they can't complain about noise now. So yeah, it leaves a stalemate. Of course, we have tons of other people around this country that are so angry and ready to hop in their vehicles on a moment's notice and drive out here. And what that will bring, you'll see more blockades around the city in different areas. You will see blockades of the blockades, which will create more blockades. And it's just this unending logistical nightmare for anything that they try and do.
That's why they are so mad, because they know that. And they're not talking about it at the city council meetings. They're stomping their feet because they know it. They're tactically stuck to some degree, especially if they've got opinions like this, right? If these gentlemen here are sticking true to it, and I have no reason to doubt they aren't because of the next couple clips we're going to watch. But that is, right, they're stuck. Arrest them all. It's fine. You got thousands of trucks or vehicles that are all, littered all over the city. And nobody to drive them. And so they need these people. You can't do much. And the next question becomes, right, what if they go after their licenses? What if they cut off supplies and all of these things? But the truckers already thought of all of that. Here's how that goes. Let's listen.
Because I just refuse to talk about my health choice, whether pro, for, against anything. I just refuse to have the discussion. Because of that, I was offered to pay to go to work, do my testing. I refuse to pay to go to work. I'll find another job. I don't really care. I'm a bum at heart, so I can be here and.
Are you able to make ends meet in the interim?
Oh yeah. Nope. I've got savings, and the way I see it, as I've told many, I risk financial ruining being here, but I guarantee it if I leave.
All right.
That's what
So some people are saying go after their pocketbooks, right? Go after them, take their money away, get them fired, go after their insurance companies. Meehan wanted more, right? Who knows what she wanted to go with this. But he's saying, no, I'm pretty secure, financially stable, taking a look at things. I was recognizing that if I don't do this, I'm going to be in a worse position than if I do it. And so he's sticking to it. And it doesn't sound like they're intending to go anywhere. Now, Justin Trudeau is getting very tired of COVID. All right. And as we continue to sort of listen to Trudeau, I want to sort of ask, who seems like they've got more resolve? Who's got more gas in the tank left? Okay. Even though his goons ran away with a lot of their fuel, who's got more energy left in the battery to withstand continued pressure, let's say. Here's what Justin Trudeau sounds like when he's saying everybody is getting tired of COVID.
I know people are tired, but we've seen it through the various waves, and they're receding over the past months. These pandemic restrictions are not forever. Canada has one of the
2 years, bro.
Vaccination rates of our peer countries around the world. Why? And it's not because Canadians love getting needles.
Because you mandated it,
because
forced them?
Canadians trust science.
Because you forced them.
Canadians trust each other to do the right things. It's in our national psyche of being able to be there for our neighbors. This is a story of a country that got through this pandemic by being united, and a few people shouting and waving swastikas does not define who Canadians are.
Look at the seals. Okay, so you can see he didn't say anything there other than a bunch of platitudes, which reminds me of a lot of our politicians, saying nothing, and a bunch of morons, like seals back there. So, okay, he does that. Goes back to the swastika thing. We already got rid of that. There's no swastikas out there. He knows it. The media knows it. They're not even making stories about it. So he is going to continue with this narrative. Everybody is tired of COVID, right? And why is he saying that? Because he realizes the rest of the country is getting pretty tired of this crap too. And he's saying, oh, we're all, high spirit Canadians and we do everything because we care about our neighbors and whatever. And he, sort of leaves out the part about, mandates and about really draconian policies. Like you can't even go into Canada without quarantining. I had a lot of friends traveling back and forth. They're like, bro, I got to sit here for 14 days. Even, it was just ridiculous. So the whole point of this is he is getting close maybe to that tipping point a little bit. He's got a lot of pressure. He's got the entire city council of Ottawa screeching in his eardrums. And my goodness, folks, I don't care how tough you are. That's going to break you at some point. Carol Ann Meehan and Diane Deans, along with Jim Watson, screaming at you with the wizard warlock over there. It's not good. And so he's buckling down on some pressure. So we have Justin Trudeau, and we compare and contrast that to these two gentlemen that Viva was talking to. Which one has a little bit more left in the can, do you think?
How long have you been here for? How long are you going to stay here for?
We got here last Saturday. We left home last Monday, so just over 2 weeks ago we left home. We got here last Saturday afternoon, and we're here for 2 weeks to flatten the mandates.
Now, any issues getting food, other supplies, sustenance?
No.
We brought with us. We're farmers and mechanics and hunters. We know how to be prepared. We brought with us enough fuel and everything for 2 full weeks, completely 100% self-contained. We've eaten like 2 days worth of food because you sit in a truck and it comes in through the window. People walk by here, have a sandwich, have a coffee, whatever. So we're mostly given the food that we eat. We brought tons and tons of fuel. We're not in need of any fuel of any kind. And like everything, we have so many locals here that are like, anything you need, you call us. So I needed a phone cord. It was here in like a couple hours. We needed an extension cable to connect our generator. It was here in an hour. So we have lots of local people. Like, anything you need, let us know. We've discovered we have friends over in Quebec, relations through our church. So we've been there for a shower and supper and do laundry a couple times, went for a hike just to kind of take a bit of time off. We are incredibly well supported, both from at home financially and by the locals here.
There you go. So it sounds like they've got better supply chains than the rest of the country, the rest of the world. They've got their own Amazon Prime setup. Hey, I need a phone cord. Yeah, 1 second. We'll send it right over. Oh, here it is. How was your service today? Oh, very good. 5 stars. Thank you for that. So they've got 2 weeks of food supplies. They're just ready to rock and roll. And it is sounds like they're kind of in it for the long haul. Not even a big deal. Justin Trudeau, on the other hand, seems like he's getting a little bit nervous there under the collar. Like, all of his platitudes, he's kind of shocked. What, they didn't hear my speech? They didn't hear us say that good Canadians do what I say? Well, what else can I do? And so he got asked some questions about this today, and he's looking a little bit tired there under the mask. He's looking like a little bit worn. Got a little bit of perspiration on that face, and somebody asks him about this, and they say, "Hey there, Trudeau, what's your opinion on this? What's your take? You gonna reverse course on these mandates or what?"
I think one of the things we all understand is just how frustrated everyone is. We're all frustrated. We're all sick and tired of restrictions, of mandates, of having to make sacrifices, of not being able to do the things we love. It's been 2 years, and it's really, really tiring for all of us.
Yeah.
This government has been focused every step of the way.
Pull them back.
On following the best science, following the best public health advice to keep as many people safe as possible. And quite frankly, it's worked. We've seen the curves lower in Canada than elsewhere. We've seen lower death rates. We've seen quicker economic recovery because Canadians stepped up, because Canadians got vaccinated. And I can understand frustrations with mandates, but mandates are the way to avoid further restrictions.
Whoa!
Having to be restricted. As people get vaccinated, as Canadians have gotten vaccinated, we've been able to get through things. And this team is going to stay focused on doing exactly that.
Doubling down on the mandates. Doubling down on the mandate. I know everybody's frustrated. I know you're angry about this, but we're going to keep going with it because that's what we've been instructed to do. That's just how it's going to be. And then he just scoots on out of there. So I sense a little bit of sort of, he's recognizing it's sort of like that technique, if somebody's very angry with you at a customer service, it's a feel, felt, found, right? Oh, yes, you recognize how they're feeling. Yes, I know. We've had many people who feel that way. Here, and I felt that way too. And here's what I found, right? Kind of one of those little clever formulas there. And he's kind of doing that now, and he kind of knows that he's on his heels because people are getting tired of it. They're looking around the United States. Different states here are rolling back their COVID policies, also happening around Europe. Why not Canada? Very curious. So Justin Trudeau is going to be doubling down as usual. Now, we also have some updates from the trucker convoy themselves. They've got several liaisons, people highly qualified, actually used to work for the government, who are now going to be giving us updates. I want to share a couple with you. We have this one. This is from former RCMP bodyguard. This is the guy who used to actually protect Justin Trudeau, okay? Used to actually work for him. Now he's on the side of the truckers. Here, according to Kevin Dupuis on Twitter, says that a former RCMP bodyguard for Trudeau explains what the police are doing in Ottawa in regards to the arrest of the gas providers. He's telling people, hold the line, right? RCMP, for American viewers, is the analogous to the FBI. And so he used to work for them, and now he's on Team Trucker. Here's what he says, and pay attention. This is back on February 7th, okay? So this was actually yesterday. We have another update from him today, but let's listen to see what he says. And look, this is him responding to the allegations of the city council, of the government, of Justin Trudeau, of these people saying that there are nothing but racist freedom truckers out there who are committing violence. And to catch you up to speed, by the way, this guy reported somebody who was actually dangerous to law enforcement. They conducted an arrest. That same arrest appeared in a CBC story, framed as though that person was connected to the truckers, as though he was one of them. He was not. This guy reported him to the police. All right, let's listen to him.
Evening. I'm Danny Bulford. I was a member of the RCMP for 15 years. The last 8 was spent here on a full-time tactical unit, where I spent the majority of my time protecting our Prime Minister and conducting other tactical operations. I know what a lawful arrest looks like. We know of people being arrested for helping to fuel trucks.
Yep.
For what offense is still unclear. Please remain calm. This is a scare tactic to coerce people into submission. They don't have a legal leg to stand on. The world is watching, and this reflects very poorly on the City of Ottawa and the police services.
That absolutely true.
Remain peaceful. The only thing that you are required to say if you're arrested or detained is to identify yourself. Every Canadian citizen has the right to equal protection under the law. Hold the line.
Boom! So RCMP, right? And I think he's exactly right. They're trying to sort of pull away supply so that people start to get panicky, and then they start to crack, right? That would be something that would be very good for them. Oh, they're taking our fuel. They're taking our food. We can't eat. We can't heat. It's 20 below. We got to go. And they just go on their own. Now, the other thing that I don't think he mentioned, which I think is, probably because he's being polite on this message, but the other thing that I think the law enforcement would really like to see happen would be a very big clash, right? Something that was instigated by them, caused somebody that they could connect to the Freedom Convoy to respond. The response is manipulated by the media, which of course they are ready and primed to do. They're just waiting for it, salivating out of the mouth. That happens, that hits the media. That gives them a pretext, justification to escalate things even further. Right? I mean, it's something that's tried and true. So we get nervous about that. He is telling people, hold the line, stay peaceful, do not get panicky. We heard previously from the truckers that Viva Fry interviewed saying, we got plenty of supplies, don't even worry about it, okay? We've got supply chains better than Amazon. They are FedExing us supplies, don't worry about it. We got food, we got supply, we're good. So relax. Now, he's saying, quite frankly, that, well, let's listen in today. Here's what he's saying. He's saying here, he posted this February 8th, another public press conference. And he's with somebody else here. This was posted by Dr. Doc X. And this is a public press highlights that credible reports of law enforcement refusing to come into work, citing unlawful orders as reasoning. Whoa. Trudeau cabinet is attempting to label us an insurrection among other colorful labels. Yeah. And so we talked a lot about that yesterday, but here's what that sounds like at this press conference today.
That there is a significant number of police officers that are.
And listen, folks, I know that the audio is low on these. Okay. When I prep the show, I clip from a number of different places, and sometimes when they're recording the audio, they're just low, right? These are guys who are just setting up, mobile recording places with their cell phones, and you can see how far the camera is away from him, and so the audio is just low. And I have it max level on everything that I've got over here, so I apologize, but let's listen in. I won't talk, so if you want to raise your volume, you can.
To come to work. Definitely that they are very unimpressed with the actions that were taken recently, and that their morale is really starting to take a hit, and many of them are becoming supportive of our cause.
The police are breaking.
My message to them would be that we still believe in you. We still believe that you are the kind of people that will stand up for us and do the right thing if you are asked or ordered to do something that you believe to be unlawful and unconstitutional. I've spoken before in previous interviews about my line in the sand and when it was crossed and when I decided to take a stand and speak out. I believe that line is being crossed more and more with our police and first responders. And I just want to say that all you have to do is say no. You don't have to publicly speak out and jeopardize your career. Just say no. I will not do that. I don't believe that that's a lawful order. That's all you have to do. And if enough of us stand up with each other and they don't have their muscle or their enforcement arm, then this can all end and we can all get on with life. And further to that, I would just like to say this. My own experience within the RCMP, and I'm sure, and I've had this conversation with many other members of different police services, is the top doesn't care about the front line. Well, I do. I care about all of you. That's why I am trying to work so hard to make sure that everyone stays safe. You will never, ever be expendable to me and the people I'm working with. So we've all been thrown under the bus, or we know of stories about getting thrown under the bus by senior management whenever it's to please a special interest group or their political matter.
All right. And so I would go listen to the whole thing. I think that's all I clipped, but it goes on. And he, basically what he's saying is, from what he can tell, some of the reports are that even the police themselves are kind of getting disgusted at some of the things they're being asked to do, like pulling fuel away from people who are just kind of hanging out in their trucks. And so that, that is interesting if true. You can see from the city council, they look like they're breaking. We have covered that in depth, like actual meltdowns, begging the police for help after 8 days. So I think that they're kind of on the verge. Trudeau looks like he's kind of on the verge. He's hearing rumors that law enforcement's kind of on the verge. And we've got actual physical political activity that is showing a very clear change happening in Canada. Disclosed TV gave us this update today, February 8th, this morning, 11:27. They say now in Saskatchewan, Premier Scott Moe announces the ending of proof of vaccination, the ending of negative test requirements, and mask mandates, all in February. Vaccine and negative test requirements on Monday, those are gone. Mask mandates, those are done February 28th. All right? So in this part of Canada, basically done. Why won't Justin Trudeau do it? Interesting. Here is what Premier Moe has to say.
Let's not judge our neighbor because they may be vaccinated or because they may not be vaccinated. Let's not judge our neighbor if they should choose to wear a mask or not to choose to wear a mask in the weeks ahead. Whenever someone is doing their own personal risk assessment, which we have asked them to do in this province for a period of time now, they're doing that assessment for themselves, possibly for their family, and they may come back with a different decision than what you might arrive at. And that different conclusion, albeit maybe different from where you have landed, should not be judged. It should be respected and it should be accepted. It's time for each of us as individuals now to make a conscious effort to treat everyone in our daily lives that we encounter equally. It's also time for the proof of vaccination mandate to end.
Yeah.
So effective at midnight this Sunday, February the 13th, all provincial proof of vaccination requirements will end.
Woo!
In Saskatchewan businesses, in venues, and provincially regulated workplaces. This means that the proof of vaccination or the negative test option that we had provided will no longer be a provincial requirement. Starting on Valentine's Day, February the 14th, this will be the case.
Yeah.
This will leave one remaining COVID measure in place, and that is indoor masking.
And how about those?
That measure remains in effect until the end of February.
Hey! So that's pretty good. Mandates for vaxes, for the masks, any of the requirements to show proof of any of the, all gone at the end of February. Well, how about that? I think that sounds pretty good. Why won't Justin Trudeau do that? Hey, did somebody knock on his door and say that Premier Scott Moe has a good idea they wanted to share with Justin? Because that's a good idea. That might resolve the whole thing, right? What if Ottawa just said, we're going to do what they did? The truckers would probably say, perfect. Make an announcement, sign it, put it into order, right? And we'll leave. See ya. Thank you. That's all we wanted in the first place. So, okay, well, so sounds like positive steps forward if you're on the Team Trucker, as far as I can tell. And it looks like there is some more political momentum behind it as well, because I learned this today. There is somebody in their government named Candice Bergen. And there was a question period today where she went after Trudeau, causing, this was yesterday actually, causing division, saying Trudeau is causing division by overtly politicizing vaccines, and demands to know when the government will end all the restrictions, okay? And so, folks, this is happening. Right? This is somebody in their government screaming at Trudeau saying, I want to know when it's going to end. The truckers want to know when it's going to end. Your city council wants to know when this, quote, occupation is going to end. So how about you just tell us from your perspective, Justin, when are these restrictions going to end? We'll just communicate that to the Freedom Convoy, and then they can just, they can do what they want to do with that data, probably get up and leave because that's what they're there for in the first place. Let's listen in.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The Prime Minister they want to get back to work, they want to get back to normal life. That's why we're seeing demonstrations not only in Ottawa but right across the country. The Prime Minister has caused division by overtly politicizing vaccines and the pandemic and calling these Canadians names. And now he's saying these protests really aren't his problem. They're the provinces or maybe even the cities. When will the Prime Minister stop hiding, show up for Canadians, show some leadership, and fix the mess that he's created?
Yeah! Right on! Right on! Woo! It's a good question.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the question. I think that what we have to ask at this moment in time is what needs to get done to get Canadians safe.
Hold on a second. I want to see how long this goes.
And what we know is the best way we can get out of this pandemic is to get vaccinated. We're all tired. We're all frustrated. But we have to ask how we can continue to sacrifice to keep those safe around us, to make sure that we follow public health measures and do our best to get out of this pandemic, keeping as many people safe and alive as possible.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, Dr. Tam and other health officials across the country have started to change their language on lifting restrictions. According to Dr. Tam, things like vaccine mandates should be re-evaluated. Countries around the world have started to lift restrictions.
That's right.
And actually end them altogether. So can the Prime Minister tell Canadians today when the government will quickly respond to our public health officials and begin to lift all the restrictions that they've imposed on Canadians?
Yes!
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let's be clear that the mandates, most of which he's...
All right, enough of that guy. So, all right, everybody. So I see we got a tremendous show here. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Be sure to hit that subscribe button because we're about to just jump and leave a like if you wouldn't mind also. We're about to jump into your questions from our friends over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And we're going to take a look at some of these super chats that came in on YouTube. And so let's get right into it. The first one that came in this morning was from Tara Ragnar. Says, Tire Roaster's Garage on YouTube, video of the fuel army arriving, a must watch. Thank you, Tara. Also says, pray a kid or other pedestrian doesn't dart towards the road and you want to honk to stop them or a driver not pay attention. Honking is illegal in 22. Yeah. From Tara Rayner, we've got Liquid City says, sending all the love back to that amazing woman. I hope Canada turns around you all. Much love. I think that was to the teacher tour guide. We have KZ Gypsy Muse says, there are prominent photos of Justin Trudeau in a Nazi uniform, maybe for Halloween, but still. Well, I didn't know that. I've seen the blackface photos. I've seen his other cultural appropriations, but not that one. Tara says, almost 2 weeks ago, no reported virus from anyone there or have been there. You know, if there was, it would have been blasted all over the place. Yeah, like a super spreader narrative coming from the media. We have another one from Bison says he gets paid per injection. the lipid. Okay, so this person is saying that, you know, Justin Trudeau has some nefarious connections there, some incentives that are highly problematic. Ronnie Cole says Trudeau had a little swag when he walked away. Felt like he had a good little message there. Raven Lunatic, a lot of those on the Ottawa City Council, says it's time for Small Potatoes to give the job to a real leader. Thank you, everyone, for your heroic efforts. Tony Goofy is here. Says, sorry about that. Says nothing but a nice super chat. Bison17 says, why is the audio so low? Can you turn up your volume? Keck. I saw that come in here, and I was about to throw my computer through the wall. But then I saw Keck, and I realized you were joking. Thank you for that. Austin Owl says nothing but a super chat. Just Cow says, we got a lot of people watching, Rob. Remind them to sub. And so I would love it if you subbed and stuck around. We do this live show every weekday, and it's a lot of fun. We've been going really, really sort of in depth on Ottawa. But we cover a lot of the other news for those of you who are not around here, a lot of criminal news. It's called Watching the Watchers. And so we spend a lot of time talking about prosecutors and politicians and judges and police officers, anybody who works for the government that is trying to gobble up your freedom under a tyrannical premise. Well, we're going to call those people out. And we'd love it if you joined us for that. And another one from Just Cows said that. We have Cox is here, says, I'm from Saskatchewan. On Monday, I'm going to go out for the first time in 5 months, man. Wow, don't stop until we are free, everyone. Fed employees in Saskatchewan still have to be double vaxxed. Don't stop. Honk, honk from Cox. Thank you, Cox. We have Isaac Bowles says, you have 10,000 people watching. Keep it going, man. Stray from the schedule. And yeah, well, I mean, we're going to keep going, but I just have to go through some comments now from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Because, of course, those are ready and primed and waiting for me. And so we've got those over here getting loaded up. Let's see what we have Where did this one go? All right, well, let's see what, while this is loading, I've got Rumble, which is happening over here. Shout outs to Flower Power and Anything. And now we've got some questions from locals. Booting up. All right, down at the bottom. Oh my gosh. We've got Jeff Rook is here. Monster One says, so glad they got that old man off the streets. You can see how dangerous he was. Yeah, that old guy is, clearly a danger to America and Canada. Three Girlies says, this is not your business. Only she is a witness to a crime. Yes, exactly right. Well, he doesn't want her to see that. Vientica says, the guy shouldn't have moved his truck, but the truck was clearly stopped when you heard the noise. Jumpin' Jeff is here, says, is Meehan culpable for criminal activity? Given her directions to the police. So, no, I don't think so. I think she's just asking questions. So it's hard to say that she's like governing people to go and arrest people. But she's just asking questions. I think it's within her purview. It's a crazy thing to ask for, but it is still within her purview. Jeff says, looks like their goal is to poke around and prod the protesters until someone snaps. They're just honking menacingly. Yeah, so some good Canadian memes coming in here. Three Girlies says, it takes a good man to stand up like this officer. He is right. The police are doing the dirty work from the politicians. Yeah. Ed J says, Rob, the video of the guy being backed into by the cop and the other despicable behavior needs to be viewed and shared around the world. It needs to go to the MPs and police chief in the Canada and US. That is a disgrace to all police everywhere. The entire world is watching this mostly on alternate programming like yours and Viva. Yeah, and it's really amazing that guys like Viva and other people are boots on the ground out there reporting, because otherwise we'd have nothing to talk about. Three Girlies says, I seem to have learned the Canadian national anthem by watching all of the Canadian stuff today. Youngest girlie is watching today. She asked me not to sing along with the protesters. Yeah. Well, it is kind of a special occasion, Three Girlies. Maybe you can squeeze a couple of them in there. Vientica says, I have mixed feelings about those that leave on principle. On one hand, no one wants to be part of certain things. On the other hand, when you got a mix of police and enforcers and all the police leave, you only have enforcers left. Robute says, here is the anti-vaxxers are racist meme from Justin Trudeau. Of course, this is the blackface meme. Actually, that's not a meme. That's a real photo. We have another one from Engineer says, well, we'll leave that one alone. Robute says, I am quite surprised that Canadian and Ottawa Gestapo hasn't beaten up the protesters. Justin just can't help himself. Three Girlies also says, every time I hear Trudeau talk, it makes my skin crawl. He's a slimy snake. Authoritarians always say they speak for the people, but they only want to speak over them and stomp them down. Trudeau is not a, quote, good Canadian. I really hope they vote all these slime balls out of office. From Three Girlies, I hope so too. Oh, it's Jake from Oxford. He's very smart. Let's see what he has to say about this. Rob, while we're on the topic of Canada, I was watching a documentary that took place in Europe. I noticed the lawyers there still wear wigs in court. Why has that not made it to the US? Can you imagine wearing one of those? I think this needs to happen. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. I think it looks pretty good, actually. I actually like that look. I think, you know what? I think I might actually figure that out, because I don't think that's a problem at all. I think I look pretty fabulous at that. And I could do that tail whip. You know, I'd make like a very astute observation on this channel. And I'd be like, yeah, I told you. What? And, you know, do the thing. I like it. Thank you for that. That's Jake Sullivan. He went to Oxford. He's a lot more sophisticated than I am. It's good advice. Speech Unleashed says, Trudeau says that a few swastika flags do not define Canada, but for some reason he feels that they define the Freedom Trucker Convoy as a whole. Total hypocrisy. Great point there, Speech Unleashed. Weird, yeah. Those flags don't define Canada, but they do define the Freedom Truckers. Double standards all day. Thunder 7 says, Rob, I just heard the blockade on Ambassador Bridge that is connecting Windsor and Detroit, very busy traffic area, is going to be descended on by police from all over Canada soon. There was also chattering about police heading to Ottawa to arrest everyone who doesn't leave. Truckers say not to get in any fracas with the police, but comply as they request. They actually said to specifically hold hands in the air, not make any sudden moves. Even though the protesters are unarmed, the police are carrying weapons, wearing helmets and other things. I hope nobody gets injured. I hope so too there, Thunder 7. So yes, look, we've seen deliberate statements from Canadian officials that they want this to get worse, right? To not get worse, but to get more escalated, more aggressive. Robute says, Justin Trudeau says it is in the national psyche to be bootlickers. Kenny 1B's here. We got a volume. Oh, this is a nice little, interesting. Thank you for this link, a volume booster link from PWS MKAZ. Maybe when I'm downloading stuff, I can boost the volume. Vienticus says, this is basically many people protesting the truckers. Let's see what we've got here. This is a video. Okay, I think it's a video. We're going to leave that V because I don't know what that is. We've got another one says, I wonder if the removal of all the stuff on the 14th has to do with other places I've seen, Europe and Israel, starting their own convoys on the 14th. Beware the measured retreat. Don't go back to sleep, from Vienticus. LG00 says conspiracy maybe, but wouldn't loosening or removing the mandates be easier than increasing force? It makes me wonder if this narrative is to continue tactics like, I don't know, maintain pandemic policies like mail-in police ballots. If the trucks are successful in Ottawa, it would likely roll over to DC next. USA wants to keep those mail-in ballots and those pandemic policies for the upcoming election. I'm surprised more police aren't resigning. You know, have you seen a lot of the narrative shift here in the United States about the pandemic stuff? They're canceling stuff all over the place. It's election year. So we're going to see the same thing. All the mandates are going to go. That one crazy doctor from CNN, Lena something, right, she was out there saying, listen, every morning when you wake up and you have your bowl of vegan pharmaceutical Cheerios, you should probably put some vaccine in those Cheerios while you're eating those, right? That was that woman. Vaccine your dog, vaccine your fish, your snakes, everything you've got. And so suddenly she's now saying, well, you know, we got to really lighten up on a lot of these policies, because the polling is terrible. The Democrats are going to get slaughtered in the next election, and they know it. We have another one from Grouchy Old Cat Lady, says, hilarious meme convoy. I'll have to save that one, Grouchy Old Cat Lady, and come back to that one. We have to see what else we've got here on some of the questions. And let's see what we've got. Seashell says, hopefully Trudeau's arrogance will be his downfall. Maybe. It very well may be. Molly Pop Inc. says, we should buy Viva a Segway. Viva a Segway? Well, then, you know, Viva looks cold to me. I don't know that a Segway is what he needs. I think he needs a heating pad or something. Jeff Rook says, I was too late yesterday, but the way that counselor talked, Biden's, quote, our patience is wearing thin, Justin's, quote, unacceptable views, all this language is indicative of those who've taken for granted their monopoly on power. They feel safe calling to gather arms and armor and taking the gloves off. While if a single person in the convoy used anything remotely like that language, they would be officially labeled a terrorist group, as opposed to just being called names. That was from Jeff Rook. And let's see what else, if we've got anything else. I saw a couple super chats come in. Tara Raynar says, the video I mentioned you should play, Rob, please. Now, let me go find it. We've got time. I've got nothing to do. Almost 2 weeks ago. Well, Tara, I don't know which video it is, so it's like a mess for me to try to like integrate new stuff if it's not like, if I have to go find it. Bushwhacker is here, says Alberta Premier is announcing restrictions in the province are being lifted. We got that one, Bushwhacker. We had that. So that was Premier Scott Moe. We played that clip. 3 things are ending, and they're all going to be done by the end of February. Outstanding. Nerf Magnet says, how about this for an idea? Canada can take our leftists from DC, New York, California, Portland, Seattle, etc. We'll take their truckers. That sounds like a fair deal to me. First of all, by the way, Arizona, we already got 2 actually. We got Miss Lucky and Sergeant Bob. They came down here to Arizona. And we welcome them with open arms. We're glad that they're here. We have another one from STFU-FFS, which I know what that means. This one says Canada has even more robust sovereign immunity than the US. By the way, You should Google Canadian Supreme Court Santa Claus if you need a belly laugh. It sounds like a good one. Another one from STFU says, 2 of the DC police Pelosi honored from January 6th self-ended. Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. But they said that it was a... Oh, my gosh. Jake Tapper said it the other day. I lost track of what he said. It was amazing. He said something like, oh, the deadly, right? The deadly January 6th insurrection. You go, what are you talking about? All right. And so let's see if there's anything else on locals. We've got Tara Raynar with another one. Fuel Army. Okay, so let me look this one up. So we've got, thank you for that, Tara. Sorry that I missed it earlier. So Ottawa will say Fuel Army, right? Ottawa, Fuel Army. See if we can pull this one up. Did we play this one? All right. I wonder if anybody can link that for me on locals. If you're there, see if you can link that for me on locals. And I'm going to do a refresh. We may have to just save it for tomorrow, Tara, because I just plugged it into YouTube. And so, like, here's what I get when I throw it on YouTube, for example. Ottawa, Fuel Army. You can see here we've got several of these. Chuck wagon carrying diesel. Like, we can maybe watch this one. This is a big one. Diesel fuel turned away from a protest site by the Ottawa police. So this is a few days ago.
I just would like to know, have they created a safety violation?
For what?
Maybe explain, help them understand. Help your sergeant understand your...
For stopping traffic?
No. This gentleman had a very good... I believe your point was valid.
No, we're discussing the fact that hauling flammable fluids with horses that are spookable.
Hauling flammable fluids is what he's talking about.
Yeah, units 1 and 2 are
a professional horse handler.
Well, when it comes to the law, an expert, correct?
All right, so somebody got me the correct link over on locals. Thank you. This is from P. Casey got me this. Thank you, P. Casey. Let's pull this one. All right, so here we go. This is the one that I think we're talking about here. This is the Fuel Army has arrived. Let's watch this one. This is on YouTube, I believe. Yeah, this looks good and safe.
Woo!
Wow. Wow.
Play your next move, Trudeau, you fuckhead.
Whoa. Whoa. Content warning.
Play your next move, Trudeau.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow.
We have a lot of fuel reserves. We are living.
That is great.
You want to hit us with confusion? We'll hit you harder. That's a fucking game you guys want to play.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so that is a great link. Thank you for that. That was from Tara. That also came over on locals. Whoa. Okay, so that was a good one. That was well worth it. And see, that's sort of why they're so stuck. That's why they're getting so dang frustrated, is because every time they try to do something, oh, great. You took some oil, you took some gasoline from them, some fuel. All right, everybody, get a can. Let's go. Haul them back in, and you can just see, it's this cat and mouse game, right? Even if they, let's say, go over to the border where Detroit, where I think Thunder 7 was telling us about this earlier, right? They go over there, they send all their forces over there. Okay, that's fine. There's a lot more truckers. They just go over to Coots. Then they go over to another port of entry and another one and another one and another one. And so you could just do what they're doing in Saskatchewan there, Justin, and just allow it to expire, because it's all wrapping up in other parts of the country. All right, let's see what else here. PWS MKAZ says, something that's not being mentioned is the search throttling being done by Google and Facebook. Big tech is helping the government craft their narrative. And I've sort of noticed that on Google. When I type something in about this, it shows me a lot of the counter narrative stuff. Although largely that's what Google has been mostly for the last year or so anyways. Molly Pop Inc. says, Segway with a heated bubble. What is it, COVID safe? I don't know. It's a good question. But Viva, he looks cold out there. It is chilly. We had a couple others come in on YouTube, and then we'll wrap it up here in a short minute. Bushwhacker came in on that one. Monte Guomo says Canadian provincial mandates are being rolled back in Alberta and Saskatchewan. Yeah. And you're right. That's a pretty big victory. So if the truckers wanted the mandates to end and Alberta is reversing the mandates, what do you call that? It's a good question. I think you call that victory, baby. Cerebral Method is here, became a member. Thank you, Cerebral. Another one from Wolfgang Deo came in, says, like all the bad policies, such as the drug war, we are self-creating cartel methods in order to allow peaceful operations to continue for liberty unbroken, I think is what he said. All right, my friends, and I think that is it from our members over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com and the questions on YouTube. And I want to thank everybody for being a part of the program. A couple more just came in. Here is one from Heffalumps and Woozles, says, if you blank about and find out. I think that's a Canadian twist on F around and find out. We have PWS MKAZ says, Doug Ford in Premier of Ontario. And he's a milquetoast conservative like old Toolbag. He's against the truckers like Trudeau. Look this guy up, Brian Peckford. He's like the Jefferson of Canada, and he's fighting the governments in court. Let's take a look at Brian Peckford. Who is Brian Peckford? Brian Peckford, according to Wikipedia, is a Canadian politician, served as the third Premier of Newfoundland. He was born and raised, became an assembly. Let's see. Is this him? Canadian politician, background. Politics, 70% of the popular vote, mines and ministry. Okay. So I'll have to save that one and dive into that. Nothing really stands out on that one right away, but certainly people are encouraged to learn more about Brian Peckford. He's like the Jefferson of Canada. Kenny 1B says it's a shell game. Who is carrying fuel? Who is carrying water? Whose is empty? Well, and I heard that even some people had like fake stuff in there, right? So it wasn't actually even gasoline. Like what if you put in Kool-Aid, right, in there? And you said, I'm going to a party. I think there may have been that, right? People carrying around Kool-Aid and, oh no, it's punch. We're having a fiesta. You want to come? And maybe they can come. And so now it's not actually carrying combustible fuel. It's carrying a red container of Kool-Aid. Interesting, huh? Yeah, I really don't know what's going on over there. Are they going to just arrest everybody? If you're Ed Meehan, then I think you want to. We got a couple others that came in on YouTube. Wolfgang Deo says, touchdown. Paper? Unbreaded. I don't know what that means. Wolfgang Deo said, oh, we already got that one. Wolfgang, another one from A. Watson says, as an American, I have never been so proud of being Canada's neighbor. Liberty, freedom, and justice is what we all want for our families and countries. Yeah, and your neighbors, you know. You want to be in good company because there are a lot of other actors on the other side of the aisle that want authoritarianism. And I'd say many people in our own governments want authoritarianism because it secures their power. And so freedom anywhere, man, is a beautiful thing to see. And I want to be supportive of it and send good energy to the people out there on the front line. My goodness. We've got Craig Andrews says, I drove 3,600 kilometers from Alberta to Ottawa to be here in person showing my support. Peep my Facebook for tons of unedited live footage. I will do that, Greg Andrus. And so everybody, I'd encourage you to do that. Let me pull that one up again. Check out Greg Andrus, Andrus on Facebook because, man, he made the journey to get out there. And that is a big journey. That is a big trek. And it sounds like you're gonna go home to, oh no, that's in Alberta. Saskatchewan, right? Yeah, that's the other place. We have another one from STFU says, what's Kool-Aid, eh? This is Molson, ya hoser. I don't know what that is. That Canadian? Is that Canadian language? Oh, that's interesting. I don't speak that, but Molson. I don't know if that's a bad word either. Hoser. Was I not supposed to say that? All right, my friends. I think that is it for us today. I'm going to wrap it up here. Oh, nope. We got a couple more that came in on locals. Here is one from Molly Pop Inc. This is a YouTube, so let's see what this one is. Now, did you see that Tucker Carlson, by the way? Tucker Carlson is now hinting, along with many people on the internet, that Trudeau is Fidel Castro's son. Let's see if this makes sense. Let's see if you can see any Fidel Castro in this clip. Is this a real clip? Look at this thing. Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau falling down the stairs. Almost 500,000 views, 390 comments. Let's watch this.
La vie est trop importante pour prendre au sérieux.
On a un escalier, on peut avoir une démonstration?
Aucun problème.
Non.
Oui.
Oui?
Oui.
Donc,
le truc,
c'est vrai, tomber des escaliers.
Comment ça fonctionne? Normalement, je te mettrais genre ici, là, puis je passerais, puis je dis, hey, comment ça va? Oui, c'est vraiment le fun, là, puis là, tu
Is this a real thing? What?
T'étais réellement inquiet, là. Il était réellement pas trop sûr
What?
si j'avais bien fait ou non.
C'est pas fait mal.
Je pense
Is that a skit?
Graffiner un petit peu là, mais pas. Non, c'est pas.
Oh, man!
C'est mon beau rouleau, là. Ah, puis le micro est resté en plus.
L'homme sait comment faire une sortie.
Was that fake?
Fonctionne. Normalement, je te mettrais genre ici, là, puis.
That had to be fake, right?
Le fun, là, puis là, tu.
It looks a little bit. It looks a little bit scripted to me, right?
Si je l'avais bien fait ou non.
Yeah, so I don't speak French, okay? So I don't know what they're actually saying or if that sounds like legitimate. Is that look fake to me? But I can't tell what they're saying. I don't know what it is. Okay, so another interesting thing from Justin, but my goodness, right? He kind of has that Fidel Castro look going there. And I think that Tucker Carlson on Trudeau Castro. Let's watch this. Yeah, because I think that the post-millennial gobbled this one up for us. Yeah, posted this yesterday.
Groundhog, Justin Trudeau, who many say is Fidel Castro's son.
Let's get this blown up here.
Like a groundhog, Justin Trudeau, who many say is Fidel Castro's son, has just emerged from his lair in hiding to deliver a brief message to an emergency session of Parliament in Ottawa. Did he declare he's going to listen to the truckers? No. He reiterated that he believes the truckers, anyone who is protesting government mandates and restrictions on travel within their own country, all these people are racists.
Yeah,
he said,
I know,
quote,
we covered all of that. We covered
to...
that whole story. But yeah, so a lot of people are asking that question. It's a very interesting question. Is Fidel Castro Justin Trudeau's father? I don't know. One tough chick says Jordan Peterson did a great interview with Brian Peckford regarding his lawsuit against the Canadian government. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, and Peckford, according to PWSMKAZ, says helped draft the Canadian Bill of Rights in 1982. He's the only living member left. Wow. That's amazing. Okay, cool. So yeah, I will definitely take a look at him. And we had another one from JJ Clem coming in talking about that. JJ Clem says, Peckford is the last living drafter and signatory to our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's amazing. So that is amazing. I actually am going to want to look that guy up because I love that stuff. Another one from J Bug with a super chat. Thank you, J Bug. And then, so apparently Molson is a Canadian beer. I'm seeing that in the chat. I wasn't aware of that. But, that's all good to know. And that, my friends, is it for us for the day. I want to thank you for being a part of the show. It was a great turnout tonight. Thank you all so much for sharing the channel and for liking the video and for subscribing, of course, because we're going to be back here tomorrow to do it all again. And we're going to very likely continue to cover this because it seems like every day this continues to escalate. And we want to make sure that we're holding their side accountable for what they are doing to these peaceful protesters exercising their constitutional and God-given rights. Before we get out of here, I want to welcome a couple new members to our community. Let's give some shout. Where'd this go? What happened here? All right, so what did I do? We're going to give some shout outs as soon as my PowerPoint slide opens back up. My tech has just been not functioning with me today. And let's see what we've got here. This is not up to date because my technology is not working. And so we'll just leave it at that. We're going to come back tomorrow. I'm going to update everything tomorrow and give final shout outs for everybody who joined as members, everybody who joined on locals. I really do appreciate all your support. I apologize I don't have my slides right now, but we are going to spend extra time on it tomorrow, I promise. But that, my friends, is it for me for the day. One last one came in from Wolfgang, says, the influence from Nick has caused Rob to be late. I have been late 2 days in a row, and I'm not happy about it. You know, it actually makes me like mad. I actually sit here in this chair and I look at the clock and I say it's 4:01 right now. And I just get mad. And then I have to take a deep breath and just start the show, and then it works itself out. But thanks for continuing to rub it in every time I'm late. I'm sure that's going to help a lot. It actually is. It's going to make me not want to be late. So I'll try to be on time tomorrow, but I probably won't be. But we'll get back to it anyways, and we'll just get through it whenever it happens to start. I hope you're there regardless. And so before you get out of here, one final reminder to hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it if you stuck around. Hit the subscribe button because we're going to be back here to do it all again tomorrow, 4 p.m. Arizona, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. on the East Coast for that one Florida man. Everybody else have a tremendous evening. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.